The Rainbow Fish by Marcus Pfister. Makes you think. A long way out, in the deep blue sea, there lived a fish. Not just an ordinary fish, but the most beautiful fish in the entire ocean. His scales were every shade of blue and green and purple, with sparkling silver scales among them. The other fish were amazed at his beauty. They called him Rainbow Fish. "Come on, Rainbow Fish," they would call. "Come and play with us." But the Rainbow Fish would glide past, proud and silent, letting his scales shimmer. Cute. One day, a little blue fish followed after him. "Rainbow Fish," he called, "wait for me. Please give me one of your shiny scales. They are so wonderful, and you have so many." "You want me to give you one of my special scales? Who do you think you are?" cried the Rainbow Fish. "Get away from me." Shocked, the little blue fish swam away. He was so upset, he told all his friends what had happened. From then on, no one would have anything to do with the Rainbow Fish. They turned away when he swam by. What good were the dazzling, shimmering scales with no one to admire them? Now he was the loneliest fish in the entire ocean. One day, he poured out his troubles to the starfish. "I really am beautiful. Why doesn't anybody like me?" "I can't answer that for you," said the starfish. "But if you go beyond the coral reef to a deep cave, you will find the wise octopus. Maybe she can help you." The Rainbow Fish found the cave. It was very dark inside, and he couldn't see anything. Then suddenly, two eyes caught him in their glare, and the octopus emerged from the darkness. "I have been waiting for you," said the octopus with a deep voice. "The waves have told me your story. This is my advice. Give a glittering scale to each of the other fish. You will no longer be the most beautiful fish in the sea, but you will discover how to be happy." "I can't," the Rainbow Fish started to say, but the octopus had already disappeared into a dark cloud of ink. "Give away my scales, my beautiful shining scales? Never. How could I ever be happy without them?" Suddenly, he felt the light touch of a fin. The little blue fish was back. "Rainbow Fish, please don't be angry. I just want one little scale." The Rainbow Fish wavered. Only one very, very small shimmering scale, he thought. Well, maybe I wouldn't miss just one. Carefully, the Rainbow Fish pulled out the smallest scale and gave it to the little fish. Thank you very much," the little blue fish bubbled playfully as he tucked the shiny scale in among his blue ones. A rather peculiar feeling came over the Rainbow Fish. For a long time, he watched the little blue fish swim back and forth with his new scale glittering in the water. The little blue fish whizzed through the ocean with his scale flashing, so it didn't take long before the Rainbow Fish was surrounded by the other fish. Everyone wanted a glittering scale. The Rainbow Fish shared his scales left and right, and the more he gave away, the more delighted he became. When the water around him filled with glimmering scales, he at last felt at home among the other fish. Finally, The rainbow fish had only one shining scale left. His most prized possessions had been given away, and yet he was very, very happy. Come on, rainbow fish, they called. Come and play with us. Here I come, said the rainbow fish. And, happy as a splash, he swam off to join his friends. What a beautiful story. Wow. It's very, very pretty. That was the rainbow fish. Three cheers. Yeah. All right. Next is... You can't lie, I don't really understand the story. Well, the rainbow fish is about... I guess it's meant to be like... They were too selfish. Right? Why was the fish mad that I don't want to give him my scales? It's mine. That's the thing, right? It's, the fish had so much, selfish, that's pretty good. The fish had so much to have for himself, he could give. You know? He could give almost all of it away and still have plenty for himself. Something like just sharing, right? Something like the rich and the poor, something like that. I mean, I'm sure you understand. The Ugly Duckling by Lynn Bradbury. It was summer in the country. All the hay had been stacked and the fields of corn were yellow. Round the edges of the fields ran deep canals, and right in the middle was an old house. On the banks of the canals grew tall dock leaves. Here a duck sat on her nest. She was waiting for her ducklings to hatch. She had been waiting for a long time. At last the eggs began to crack. One by one, the ducklings poked their heads out. Cheep, cheep, they said, as they saw the big outside world. Soon all the eggs had hatched, except one. This was the biggest of all the eggs. The duck sat on her big egg a little longer, until it cracked. Out tumbled the last of her chicks. She looked at him and said, "Oh dear, you're so big and ugly." The next day was warm and sunny. The duck took her new family down to the canal. She splashed into the water. One by one, the ducklings followed her. Soon they were all swimming beautifully, even the big, ugly gray one. Next, the mother took her ducklings into the duck yard. "Stay close to me and watch out for the cat," she said to them. "And remember to bow your heads to that duck over there." This was the oldest and most important duck in the yard. The duck yard was very noisy. The ducklings walked close to the mother and remembered to bow their heads. The other ducks thought they were all beautiful, except for the big, ugly one. The ducklings lived in the yard, but the ugly duckling was very unhappy. The older ducks pecked at him and laughed. He had nowhere to go. One day, he ran away. He ran until he came to the great marsh where the wild ducks lived. The duckling was very, very tired. He lay in the rushes for 2 whole days. Then the wild ducks and some geese came to look at him. "You're very ugly," they said, and they laughed at him. The poor ugly duckling ran away from the great marsh. He ran and ran over the fields and meadows. The wind blew and the duckling was cold and tired. It was getting dark. The duckling found a little cottage. It was very, very old, and the door was falling off. This left a gap just big enough for the duckling to creep inside out of the cold. An old woman lived in the cottage. She had a cat which could purr and a hen which laid eggs. They found the ugly duckling in the morning. The old woman said, "You can stay. Now we shall have duck eggs." So the duckling stayed, but he did not lay eggs. The cat said to him, "Can you purr?" "No," said the duckling. The hen said, "Can you lay eggs?" "No," said the duckling, sadly. "Then you must go," said the cat and the hen. The ugly duckling went away again. He walked in the marshes and floated on the water. Everywhere he went, birds and animals said, "How big and ugly you are." Winter was coming. The leaves had dropped from the trees. The ground was cold and hard, and the duckling had nowhere to stay. One evening, a flock of birds flew overhead. They were beautiful white swans with long necks. "I wish I was like that," said the duckling. The winter grew colder. The duckling had to peck at the ice to find water. One night, he was so tired he fell asleep on the ice. In the morning, a farmer found the duckling. He took him home for his wife to look after. When the duckling was better, the farmer's children wanted to play with him. He was frightened and tried to run away from them. He flew into the milk churn and landed into the barrel of flour. The children laughed and tried to catch him, and the duckling ran far away. He hid among reeds in the marsh all through the long, cold winter. Then the warm spring sun came. The duckling spread his wings. They were strong winds now, and he flew high into the air. He flew over the canal and saw 3 beautiful swans. As he landed, the duckling saw himself in the water. He was not an ugly duckling at all. He was a beautiful white swan. "Come with us," said the other swans. And he did. I mean, that's it. What a strange book. So everybody said that he was fucking ugly. And then, when he grew up to look exactly like every other duck, they said, "You're pretty." I don't think we were listening. I see. Not a single person was. But that's fine. I was? Okay, that's true. You were the only person that was. Oh, fuck me. Inactivity check. Okay, I can do that. Ah, my fucking hand. We're having a sleepover. I know. I see. No David by David Shannon. Let's see. The author's note. A few years ago, my mother sent me a book I made when I was a little boy. It was called No David. It was illustrated with drawings of David doing all sorts of things he wasn't supposed to do. The text consisted entirely of the words no and David. They were the only words I knew how to spell. Really? This is so cute. I thought it would be fun to do a remake celebrating those familiar variations of the universal no that we hear while growing up. Of course, yes is a wonderful word, but yes doesn't keep crayon off the living room wall. Okay. David's mom always said, "No, David. No, David. No, David, no. No, no, no. Come back. Here, David. David, be quiet. Don't play with your food." That's enough. David, go to your room. Settle down. Stop this. Stop that this instant. Put your toys away. Not in the house, David. I said no, David. Davy, come here. Yes, David, I love you. Okay, maybe not a great story to read. It's like 10 words. Sorry, no, it's fine. It's more of a great story to look at. You don't see the window version of our emojis? What the hell does that mean? When you give a mouse a cookie? I think we did that, but maybe not. I don't remember. Here we go. Frog and Toad Are Friends by Arnold LaBelle. Spring. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the front door. There was no answer. "Toad, Toad," shouted Frog. "Wake up. It's spring." "Blah," said a voice from inside the house. "Toad, Toad," cried Frog. "The sun is shining. The snow is melting. Wake up." "I am not here," said the voice. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All of the shutters were closed. "Toad, where are you?" called Frog. "Go away," said the voice from a corner of the room. Toad was lying in bed. He had pulled all the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. "Help," said Toad. "I cannot see anything." "Don't be silly," said Frog. "What you see is the clear, warm light of April. And it means that we can begin a whole new year together, Toad." "Think of it," said Frog. "We will skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim in the river. In the evenings, we will sit right here on this front porch and count the stars." They're so cute. "You can count them, Frog," said Toad. "I will be too tired. I'm going back to bed." Toad went back into the house. He got into the bed and pulled the covers over his head again. "But Toad," cried Frog, "you will miss all the fun." "Listen, Frog," said Toad. "How long have I been asleep?" "You've been asleep since November," said Frog. "Well then," said Toad, "a little more sleep will not hurt me." "Come back again and wake me up at about 1/2 May. Good night, Frog." "But Toad," said Frog, "I will be very lonely until then." Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep. Frog looked at Toad's calendar. The November page was still on top. Frog tore off the November page. He tore off the December page. and the January page, the February page, and the March page. He came to the April page. Frog tore off the April page too. Then Frog ran back to Toad's bed. Toad, Toad, wake up! It is May now. What? Said Toad. Can it be May so soon? Hi, Lily, and hi, Brooke. Yes, said Frog. Look at your calendar. Toad looked at the calendar. The May page was on top. Why, it is May, said Toad as he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see how the world was looking in the spring. One day in the summer, Frog was not feeling well. Toad said, Frog, you were looking quite green. But I always look green, said Frog. I am a frog. Today you looked very green, even for a frog, said Toad. Get into my bed and rest. Toad made Frog a cup of hot tea. Frog drank the tea, and then he said, Tell me a story while I am resting. All right, said Toad. Let me think of a story to tell you. Toad thought and thought, but he could not think of a story to tell Toad. I will go out on the front porch and walk up and down, said Toad. Perhaps that will help me to think of a story. Toad walked up and down on the porch for a long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad went into his house and stood on his head. Why are you standing on your head? Asked Frog. I hope that if I stand on my head, it will help me think of a story, said Toad. Toad stood on his head for a long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Then Toad poured a glass of water over his head. Why are you pouring water over your head? Asked Frog. I hope that if I pour water over my head, it will help me think of a story, said Toad. Toad poured many glasses of water over his head, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. So cute. Then Toad began to bang his head against the wall. Why are you banging your head against the wall? Asked Frog. I hope that if I bang my head against the wall hard enough, it will help me think of a story, said Toad. Toad, don't do that. I'm sorry. I'm feeling much better now, Toad, said Frog. I do not think I need a story anymore. Then you get out of bed and let me get into it, said Toad, because now I feel terrible. That's so cute. Frog said, Would you like me to tell you a story, Toad? Yes, said Toad, if you know one. Once upon a time, said Frog, there were two good friends, a frog and a toad. The frog was not feeling well. He asked his friend, Toad, to tell him a story. The toad could not think of a story. He walked up and down on the porch, but he could not think of a story. He stood on his head, but he could not think of a story. He poured water over his head, but he could not think of a story. He banged his head against the wall, but he could not think of a story. Then the toad did not feel so well, and the frog was feeling better. So the toad went to bed, and the frog got up and told him a story. The end. How is that, Toad? Said Frog. But Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep. Toad and Frog went for a long walk. They walked across a large meadow. They walked into the woods. They walked along the river. At last, they went back home to Toad's house. Oh, drat, said Toad. Not only do my feet hurt, but I have lost one of my buttons on my jacket. Don't worry, said Frog. We will go back to all of the places where we walked. We will soon find your button. They walked back to the large meadow. They began to look for the button in the tall grass. Here is your button, cried Frog. That is not my button, said Toad. That button is black. My button was white. Toad put the black button in his pocket. A sparrow flew down. Excuse me, said the sparrow. Did you lose a button? I found one. That is not my button, said Toad. That button has 2 holes. My button has 4 holes. Toad put the button with 2 holes in his pocket. They went back to the woods and looked on the dark paths. Here is your button, said Frog. That is not my button, cried Toad. That button is small. My button was big. Toad put the small button in his pocket. A raccoon came out from behind the tree. I heard that you were looking for a button, he said. Here is one that I just found. That is not my button, wailed Toad. That button is square. My button was round. Toad put the square button in his pocket. Frog and Toad went back to the river. They looked for the button in the mud. Here is your button, said Frog. That is not my button, shouted Toad. My button. That button is thin. My button was thick. Toad put the thin button in his pocket. He was very, very angry. He jumped up and down and screamed. The whole world is covered with buttons, and not one of them is mine. Toad ran home and slammed the door. There, on the floor, he saw his white, 4-holed, big, round, thick button. Oh, said Toad, it was here all the time. What a lot of trouble I have made for Frog. Toad took all of the buttons out of his pocket. He took his sewing box down from the shelf. Toad sewed the button all over his jacket. The next day, Toad gave his jacket to Frog. Frog thought that it was beautiful. He put it on and jumped for joy. None of the buttons fell off. Toad had sewed them on very well. That is so fucking cute. So cute. Alright. We will do one more story. One more story. Not sure what. I'm looking for you guys. What are we thinking? Three Billy Goats Gruff. I have never heard of 3 Billy Goats Gruff. Let's see. Just one? Unfortunately, we're already past 1 a.m. I shouldn't even really be here. But we'll do one more. I love how you're doing cute stories and chat is being a bunch of gremlins. This happened last time as well. It's kind of cute. Let's see. Here we go. The 3 Billy Goats Gruff by Violet Findley. Once upon a time, there lived 3 Billy Goat brothers. Their names were Little Billy, Middle Billy, and Big Billy. One day, they decided to cross the bridge to eat the sweet grass on the other side. There was only one problem. A mean troll lived under it. Clomp, clomp, clomp. Little Billy started across the bridge. Then he heard a cranky voice. "Stop there. I'm going to eat you up," yelled the troll. "Wait for my brother. He is bigger and much more delicious than I," cried Little Billy. "What a fine idea," said the troll, licking his lips. And with that, Little Billy crossed the bridge. Clomp, clomp, clomp. Middle Billy started walking across the bridge, then heard a cranky voice. "Stop there. I'm going to eat you up," yelled the troll. "Wait for my brother. He is bigger and much, much more delicious than I," cried Middle Billy. "What a fine idea," said the troll, licking his lips. And with that, Middle Billy crossed the bridge. Clomp, clomp, clomp. Big Billy started across the bridge. Then he heard a cranky voice. "Stop there. I'm going to eat you up," yelled the troll. "Okay," said Big Billy, for he had a sneaky plan. When the troll climbed up on the bridge, Big Billy rammed him so hard that he fell into the water with a giant splash. After that, the three brothers crossed the bridge whenever they liked, and my, the sweet green grass was delicious. That was good. That was good, but it was so short. Okay, we'll do one more. We'll do one more. One more, and then we'll go to sleep. Llama. What is this llama? Llama, llama, red pajama. We didn't do this, did we? I think this book would be really fucked up if you pronounce pajama like pajama. Llama, llama, red pajama. Llama, llama, red pajama by Anna Dunity. Llama, llama, red pajama reads a story with his mama. Mama kisses baby's hair. Mama llama goes downstairs. Llama, llama, red pajama feels alone without his mama. Baby llama wants a drink. Mama's at the kitchen sink. Llama, llama, red pajama calls down to his llama mama. Mama says she'll be up soon. Baby llama hums a tune. Llama, llama, red pajama, waiting for his mama. Mama isn't coming yet. Baby llama starts to fret. Llama, llama, red pajama whimpers softly for his mama. Mama llama hears the phone. Baby llama starts to moan. Llama, llama, red pajama listens quiet for his mama. What is Mama llama doing? Baby llama starts boo-hooing. Llama, llama, red pajama hollers loudly for his mama. Baby llama stomps and pouts. Baby llama jumps and shouts. Llama, llama, red pajama in the dark without his mama. Eyes wide open, covers drawn. What if Mama llama's gone? Llama, llama, red pajama weeping, wailing for his mama. Will his mama ever come? Mama llama, run, run, run. Baby llama, what a tizzy. Sometimes mama's very busy. Please stop all this llama drama and be patient for your mama. Little llama, don't you know? Mama llama loves you so. Mama llama's always near, even if she's not right here. Llama, llama, red pajama gets 2 kisses from his mama, snuggles pillow soft and deep. Baby llama goes to sleep. It's beautiful. Can we get kisses? Mwah, mwah, mwah. You guys and I and we all need to go to sleep now. Llama Llama, red pajama. Mwah. Thank you guys for being here. I love you guys so very, very much. You guys are beautiful. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. PST. You already know. Have a good night. And yeah. Goodbye. Bye. Thank you for the follow. Bye.